Hey everybody, I'm Riley.
And I'm Todd, and welcome to this week's episode of Barber Cuts. And this week we are talking about the old swinger, the old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra, Songs for Swingin' Lovers from 1956. So we're going a bit back in time to talk about this one. So, Riley, what are your least favorite two from the album?
Um, my one of my least favorites was Anything Goes. Um, for it being a Frank Sinatra song, it's very pessimistic. It's like just a really depressing little song. And I get it. Um, I I am not saying I'm not a fan of depressing music. I am a fan of The Cure, so have to be there a little bit. But it just doesn't fit really Frank Sinatra music. For context of what I'm saying, it's saying that anything goes, like good authors used to write a lot, now we only use this, black's white today, day's night today. Like it's just kind of saying that anything goes. And it turns, but it's just kind of like a weird little song to be put in like Frank Sinatra's list.
Yeah,
Um,
and so really to be fair, I guess we should preface at the very beginning that all of these and this is strange. So it's 1956 is the album. It's it's 2025 now. 1956 is the album. And so how do we say it? Like none of this is really what we know, but apparently all of these songs were cover songs.
yeah, yeah.
So all of these were previously recorded, and he went in and redid it in his style. So, but I mean that doesn't make it any easier because I didn't know any of the like some of these go back to the 20s. So, if I didn't know it from the 50s, I'm not gonna know it from the 20s. But I recognize some of the names. Gershwin, I definitely recognized. So we'll throw that caveat in here as we talk about these songs.
Right. It just was interesting to hear this song within like the list of the other love songs. Like it just felt a little out of place. But
True.
um my least favorite song, which uh we don't really need to go in more in depth than the title, is Making Whoopee. Um I think that kind of says it. I will also say another caveat that I feel like we need to mention is even though Frank Sinatra was very progressive for his time, as you mentioned, these songs are from the 20s, so some things just age kind of strange. Like
True.
things just are different. And this song was just like funny to me because by no means I don't know, just him talking about like, oh, it's crazy that like he would even work around the house and do this type of stuff as a man. Like that's what it's been brought to, and it's like
Yeah.
that's not that crazy anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's expected that you take care of your baby.
Yeah.
He's so ambitious, he even sews. Lots of guys sew.
Yeah.
It's like not that. And it's like saying like, don't forget that's what you get for making whoopee. It's like this is like your punishment, and it's like that's not really how it goes anymore. So it just doesn't even work as a song anymore.
True. True. And there
So
there'll be lots of, especially the older ones, if you ever really investigate the music and the lyrics. And I think this is one of those that does. It's a time that's forgotten almost maybe.
yeah,
And one of the things that again, I'm not really a Sinatra fan. Like I know his big stuff, and knew maybe two from this album. And so as I was listening to it, I heard the Making Whoopee, and then two songs later. anything goes. And as I'm listening to the lyrics there, which again, this is one of those that's, I would say, a little bit more difficult for me because it's the lyrics are in your face the entire album.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm sitting there listening and like, all right, okay. And then you get to anything goes and it's talking about, you know, opens with in olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows anything goes. I'm like, okay, it almost sounds like you're talking about how the world's coming to an end because everything's up in arms and people say whatever they want to. But like two songs earlier, you're talking about making whoopee. Like
Yeah, I didn't
there's
put that together.
these two things don't really match, and that kind of broke my head for a moment.
Yeah, I
The
think
logical side of me just like almost went overdrive for a moment. Um, but I found that funny.
yeah, I think my like the problem that I have with these two songs within the context of like Frank Sinatra, even if they're cover songs, and we can talk about this more later, but Frank Sinatra was known to be pretty like progressive, like within civil rights movements and women's rights, like all of this stuff. I'm like everywhere that I find says that he was like pretty progressive, and if a lot of his songs are not written by him, but are like very warm towards women and very romantic and heavy on that. And then these two songs just switch. And it's like now
Yeah,
we're talking about what women are wearing and like the idea of like strong gender roles because of making a Wolfie. And then like the anything like anything goes and all of that. Like and that's not to say that there isn't commentary to be made on changes and how that affects you. And it's not even to say that like certain like it's not to say that there's not commentary to be made. It's just it doesn't fit within the idea that I've had of Frank Sinatra as this like smooth, like pretty progressive guy for his time.
yeah. And I guess in context, just looking it up real quick, Making Whoopi was first done in 1928, the song. And then Anything Goes was 1934.
Which
So
also th this is going to be a little awkward. All the people in music today, and I'm not saying I'm a fan of like all the crazy music today, but it happened recently with Taylor Swift. One of her songs would, which is a lot. But also with like all the rap songs, like people these days, all they sing about is like sex and stuff like that. And I miss olden music. And I'm like, have you listened to old music? They also do that a lot. They just say it in weird ways.
here we go, Frank Sinatra,
So, and we've listened to a few other artists who've
all the
done
way
that.
back to 1920s.
So I challenge you that if you have that idea, go listen to some like 20s music and listen closely because they disguise it, but not that well.
Yeah, and
It's
like this is one
intense.
of those examples,
Yeah.
and I would even even with this one, like you can't hide like a lot of times in some of the rock and roll and really like hair band rock of the 80s and stuff. It was hidden by the music, by the instruments,
We
and
talked
so
about
you
this with
couldn't really
Prince.
understand it very well. No, like on this album, the lyrics weren't hiding anywhere. Everything was lyrically right in your face because just of, it's a Sinatra voice. And so it was, yeah. But
A
anyway,
lot.
anything else on yours?
That's all for me.
I wrote that the second half of the album, so really after I've Got You Under My Skin, it to me it really wasn't as strong as the first
Mm-mm.
portion. Um, and 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 so my note was any of these really could have been the least favorite for me for one reason or another. And so in an effort not to pick all of them, I went with We'll Be Together Again. And really you know, you're like, okay, anything goes because it doesn't fit because it's not a love song, which most everything on here is a love song. We'll Be Together Soon is a love song. It's a ballad, so it's really slow.
Mm.
And man, like, okay, that's a really good song if you need to go to sleep because it'll knock you out.
For
Sorry, Sinatra.
anyone For anyone who wants to know what growing up with
Wow.
Father Pod was like, anytime you had a song that you really liked that was slow, it didn't matter if it was good. He'd
Yeah,
fake sleep on you.
yeah. And start snoring,
Every time. Every time. So I
and
that makes sense for
yeah.
you.
And it's, each of these, like, this is a different music than what our current culture may be used to, and even you and I, what we're used to. But th like all of them really, except for that one, were fairly upbeat. And from what I gathered, his album right before this one was like all ballads, so they were all, you know, slow and ballady. Um, so glad we didn't have that album.
But it
I
was a rough week, lots of
can
sleep.
ingest, yeah. It could be a great album. So, favorites?
Did you not have a second favorite? You just picked least favorite? You just picked one? It was all
Well,
of them and then that one.
yeah, it was like I could have picked one from any of really the last, one, two, three, four, five, six songs. They just weren't as good as the first nine. So when I say half of the album, it's really not half. It's the first nine were good, and then that tenth song, I Thought About You, it slowed down a little bit to me, I guess. And maybe some of the others did have a slowdown or whatnot, but maybe it slowed down even more with We'll Be Together Again. Then the next song after that was Making Whoopee. Then Anything Goes broke my head with the logic, and I was just out at that point.
Fair enough.
So it may be more of a me problem than a album problem, admittedly.
Fair enough.
So, all right, favorites.
Um, so I think this might be the first time that I think my two favorites are going to be the two most popular on this album. It's You Make Me Feel So Young and Pennies from Heaven. I think those are going to be the top two. I may be wrong, but they're
You are,
both really popular.
you are.
Oh, they're both really popular though. Whatever. You Make Me Feel So Young.
Are
I've
we
heard it
are we going by
before.
popularity on Spotify streams?
I don't,
Define popularity.
let me finish and then you'll hear what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so You Make Me Feel So Young. It's still used in media today. I've heard it. It's in movies. It's upbeat. It's happy. It is a love song, but it's not as basic and boring. It has a little bit more like jump and happy to it, so it's good. And then Pennies from Heaven, I know it from movies. I did not know his version. I knew like more
I
modern,
gotcha.
very fast-paced Pennies from Heaven, and that is in movies today. The Pennies from Heaven with the it's very fast-paced. So I knew the song Pennies from Heaven and I liked his rendition of it. Not that it's much different. It's a little slower than the ones that I know, but I also just like that song. I like the little um it's not scat, it's just like they have their own little like ad libs that they have back from that time, and I like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like it whenever like it says like something like macaroni and all of a sudden like five people are singing it instead of just the one, and I'm like, sweet, I like
Yeah.
this. I jam with this. Um, and so they're both really popular, and admittedly, I probably liked them more just because I recognized them. Um, because like you said, this music is very different than music today. I mean, like with the Beatles and like some of those like more 60s artists, you start to hear more of like the influences that we still hear today. Um, Before then, even with Frank Sinatra, he's popular, but like it's harder to see the connections to modern day music as much because
Yeah.
it's just completely different. So having something that was like recognizable really helped me in this album, something to like hold on to.
Yeah.
So those two songs ended up being some of my favorites.
Yeah, it's just an trivia 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon bit. The Elvis's first album was also the same year, so 56. And
Hmm.
so his first album um is the famous one with Elvis written vertically,
London
Presley written
Calling,
horizontally, just like the London Calling, which we've already done as an episode. So,
and
um,
I've drawn it.
yes, so go back and listen to London Calling for that connection. So, um, yeah. So my favorites, one was I've Got You Under My Skin, um, which the reportedly took 22 takes to get it correct. And obviously it's another love song. And the music really goes hand in hand, and a lot of these do, goes hand in hand with the sound of Sinatra's voice. And so the arrangements of the orchestra play really well with his voice, and then his voice interacts really well with the orchestra. And so um, the arranger that did it, let's see, Nelson Riddle. So he and Nelson Riddle, I think, had 3 or 4 different um, collaborations that they worked on, and I can't remember which one this was. It wasn't their first one, but I don't know if it was their last. Um, but they were really good together, and you could see how that um, because they've been working together for a couple times, you could see how the orchestra and his voice really started playing well with each other. Um, and then my favorite was just like yours, the first one. You Make Me Feel So Young. It's a great intro first song because it really does suck you in, and it makes you happy. Again, mentioned they're all covers. This one is a cover of a 1946 song, and in in a musical, Three Little Girls in Blue, where I know it from is also a movie. Do you know which movie it's in that we love? That's
No.
that's coming up in Christmas season.
Oh, that is where I know it from.
It's from Elf. So it's when Buddy goes to Jovi's apartment, and they do their date where they're running around New York. Um, and he takes her to the blindfolds her and takes her to get her favorite, the world's best cup of coffee. Then he's running through the revolving door telling her, don't get sick. They go ice skating,
Wait,
they see the tree. It's playing through that
you have
entire thing.
you got the wrong song. Pennies from Heaven is what's playing during that. That's the movie I know it from.
No, it's You Make Me Feel So Young.
Pennies from Oh, Pennies from Heaven is also an elf then.
Oh, it could be, but that
That's where I know it
that
from.
that particular that particular section
Yes,
is You Make
okay.
Me Feel So
Maybe
Young.
so. Funnily enough, Pennies from Heaven, because I looked it up because that like made me remember, is also an elf, and it's a version by Louis Prima, or yeah, Louis Prima during a celebratory scene.
Okay,
That's
interesting. Did
That is funny.
did not know that.
Oh, yeah, it's whenever he like is going to I think it's whenever he's going around like New York City. It plays Pennies from Heaven.
Okay.
It's the shooby dooby. That's the ad libs I was talking about that I like. Shooby
Okay.
dooby.
All right.
That's funny that both of these songs are. That's good.
Yeah, I wonder if that'd be interesting to see why there's a or what type of connection there was. Because that's funny. There's two of them from this album in Elf.
That's good. Sorry,
I didn't even recognize Pennies from Heaven.
I just recognize the shooby dooby.
Yeah.
You
But
make
the
the
but the
house
actual
ring.
Sinatra version is the one in Elf when they're doing the when
Yes,
he
yeah,
takes her on the date
yeah.
around the city.
Sorry, listeners, to confuse you. We figured it out. We got
We're sidetracking. We got there. We got there.
it.
All right. So why should people go listen to this album?
Um, People should listen to this album because I think, okay, we've talked about this in other albums, and I think this was the closest thing that I could pin to Sinatra that I can relate to modern day music, if that makes sense. And it is, he very much relies on the lyrics, yes, but relies on the delivery of the lyrics, so the emotional delivery, more so than using the music to
Yeah.
draw your emotions out, which we've talked about in Arcade Fire. We talked about it, I think, a little bit with the Pixies and alt rock. Like the use of changing your voice to have a very emotional, full voice and like manipulating that is definitely something that I noticed in Sinatra. And when I looked it up, it was something that he is pretty known for doing that, being one of the people to like really emphasize that emotional part of his voice in his songs.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously Sinatra's not screaming out of nowhere and like almost crying, but it is a very like I used to say this about a lot of singers growing up. It sounds like he's smiling when he's singing. Like I love when people sound like they're smiling as they're singing and you can like tell.
Yeah.
And I mean, happiness is and being in love is an emotion too. So, like you can almost feel the love in his voice more than you can in the lyrics or the instruments, which
Yeah.
is really fun to like just imagine like a and very vividly see a picture of like just a guy in love singing a song, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And to piggyback on Frank Sinatra, just some things, because I think a lot of people will know the name Frank Sinatra, but may not know or may not um, recognize, maybe is not the right word, recognize or appreciate maybe the artist that he was. And so he won 11 Grammys and was nominated for over 30 times. Um, but the funny thing about it is this album came out in 56. The Grammys didn't start until 58. So he had already had a peak and then destroyed, went into the basement, and this album was his second peak. And all of that happened before the Grammys even started.
when
And
did he get destroyed?
um he like lost everything in maybe the late 40s, early 50s.
How do you lose it? Someone.
He just lost his popularity. He had like a
Oh, okay.
Vegas thing and for whatever reason lost popularity and then came back in with the previous album of this one and then this album and all of these were, and so he had a career before the Grammys started that didn't get recognized. And so it's really strange. It's so the Grammys didn't start until 2 years after this album, and many people consider this album to be maybe his best album. So, but he is the first two-time winner and the first three-time winner for the Grammy Album of the Year. And again,
Hmm.
what most people consider his best album wasn't even in that. Um, so he's in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and he is the winner of the Grammy Lifetime Award and the Legend Award. And then some other things. That's all music. He has 3 stars at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, one for recording, obviously, but also one for motion pictures and for television. So he won the 1954 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Hmm.
He's a four-time Golden Globe winner, 1966 Peabody Award winner, 1971 Cecil B. DeMille Award winner, 1983 Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts Medal of Honor, 1985 Presidential Medal of Freeman. So Medal of Freedom, did I say that right? Um, so he is not only a very, very good recording artist, he also did other things. And that often gets overlooked.
I
So,
feel
like, you got to put Sinatra into the right context even before we talk about this album. And that's very hard to do, even for me.
you forgot the most important one, in my opinion.
What's that?
He got arrested for being too seductive
Wow.
in his younger years. That is good.
Yeah.
That is good. I think that also gives, as silly as that is, it also gives an idea, like he was a heartthrob of the time.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing to be uh recognized. Like a lot of his popularity was also because he was a heartthrob. People loved
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I mean, think like you see the pictures of fans going crazy for Elvis and the Beatles, like that was Sinatra's as well. I mean, so it's really hard to think about that because, you know, you don't necessarily get that from the music. So when we talk about the music, you think all those heartthrobs, and then you go listen to the swinging big band orchestral music, and it's like, oh, okay. But the album itself, also Grammy Hall of Fame, um, Sinatra aficionados, which I do not consider myself one. So I'm going to tell you what I read about them. They rate this as pretty much his best album, or second best. And many music critics, again, I'm not one of those, but they also consider it to be one of the greatest albums of its era. So again, going back to the 40s, 50s. And the other thing, just again, putting things in context because we talk about it all the time about the Grammys and about the charts and all this to determine like how great albums are because they were on the chart for so long or they did this for so long. Um, this album was topped. Let's see, it was number one on the original UK top album list.
Hmm.
So the UK top album list started in 1956, and this was the first album that was the top of the list. So it was there for 2 weeks, then lost the spot for 2 weeks, then regained it for another week. So, it's like, oh yeah, these albums and charts have been around forever, and then all of a sudden you listen to an album and it's like, oh yeah, it was the first album. Oh, this is Lots of people say this is his best album. Oh, did it win a Grammy? Oh no, the Grammys weren't a thing. So
Yeah,
it's like mind blowing. But
going off of that too, I think whether or not it's your type of music, I would say with it often being said that it's said to be one of the best albums of this era, and you're like, why? Like, why this album? Like, whatever. And then you realize that Frank Sinatra is one of the only artists that's like a household name from this era still.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's something special about his music that's lasting. And personally, I think I don't know if this is controversial or not. If you're a Sinatra fan, don't come after me. But I think part of it is because of Michael Bublé. Because he sang the songs, he has the jazzy feel. He kind of re-brought on that persona of like lovable, like charismatic guy, and kind of re-brought back that spike of that being kind of the type of music that people wanted to listen to.
Okay.
Um, because that's how I knew Frank Sinatra songs was Michael Bublé covers.
Yeah.
Um, so partially, but that's also not to discredit
Yeah.
Sinatra's impact on music. Like obviously it's people are still going back to his music, not just ending at Bublé.
Yeah. True.
But I think that there is something to that, that it's still a household name.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And all that to say, I mean, it's definitely a sound of the past. You know, you don't really hear this as mainstream as you once did, in the 50s. This was pop music. Like
Hmm.
this is not pop music anymore.
Which okay, this was kind of funny when I noticed it. So to me, even though none of these songs were Christmas songs, they all sounded like Christmas songs because the most popular Christmas songs were all from this era. And
Yeah.
that's the only time you really listen to this type of music is like Christmas. So like just the instrumentals brought me to like Christmas time
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, that's how I know this music. You don't hear many Christmas musics from today. You hear a lot of the like rocking around the Christmas tree and like all of these old Christmas songs that have this jazzy feel in the orchestra and very prominent lyrics with soulful voices. So all of these love songs, all I could think about was Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Well, you know, just like the stores, I mean, Christmas decorations are already out.
Which
So,
I
you know,
also after talking with you, it's also making me realize that that may just be because two of these songs are an elf, and we watch that every year at Christmas
tr
time.
true, the
So
subliminal elf coming out to get us,
it's
which,
just
man, what a great movie. So
a household staple.
yeah, yeah. All right. Anything else about why people should go listen to it?
Not
I
for
mean,
me.
again, it's a way music used to be. So if you go listen to it, just so you can either say, "Man, I wish I'd have grown up in the 50s," or "Man, I'm so glad I didn't grow up in the 50s." Either way, you can expand your musical horizons. You can, hey, if you're an Elf fan, go listen to it to see two of the songs from it. So all right. Best beat and bar. So Riley, what was your favorite lyric from the album?
So my favorite lyric was from I've Got You Under My Skin, which you've talked about a little bit. But it's just the opening lyrics. It's I've got you under my skin, I've got you deep in the heart of mine, so deep in my heart that you're really a part of me. I just think that's a really sweet lyric. I am not always the biggest love song, like generic love song person, because I think they just get very overused and the lyrics are very similar and it kind of gets a little much. So I really like it when any love song gets like extra sweet or extra unique in how they try to portray it and all of
Yeah.
that. And this isn't that unique, but it still stands out enough to where it warmed my little heart a little bit more than some of the
Oh,
other more generic lyrics. Just the idea that you're just so in love with someone and they do become like a part of you that
yeah.
you can't necessarily get rid of.
Yeah.
So,
You've got them under your skin.
yeah.
And ironically enough, my best beat, same song. So it's really at about 2 minutes and 16 seconds. There's a little orchestral build up to it, and then there is a trombone solo. So, like, you're not going to have guitars, and so we've talked about guitar solos and all the distortions, and we got so much of that in all these albums that we cover. This was a trombone solo, and it was done very nice. And as I was listening to it, I was like, I do believe that's a trombone because of the way that it was sliding, is what eventually tipped me off. But it's in a higher register than what you normally hear trombones play in. So again, impressive enough for that. But it lasts about 30 seconds, and so it's a really good. Again, don't hear them that often. Maybe you do if you go listen to a bunch of 1950s albums, but I don't hear them that often. Trombone solos. And then again, if you go back to what we talked about during the favorite songs portion, where it had 22 takes to get the song right, poor trombone guy, like 22 takes of that, man.
Yeah,
His
they couldn't just clip it in.
man, his mouth had to be super sore from doing that. All right. Ratings. What are your ratings, Riley?
So, um, this one's complicated. Even more so with what you've said because like with being such a lyric person, these aren't his lyrics. These aren't like his songs. So it's hard to
Yeah,
like give him an objective rating when it's like, oh, there's so many different artists and I haven't heard like the original songs or like anything to kind of like get a
yeah,
basis.
yeah.
Um, it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult. But I would say like Frank Sinatra himself and the combination of these songs, I'm giving it an 8. Um, because of those two songs that just were like, or really the back half of this album. Like you said, I also thought the same thing. It gets like very, and this is a harsh word, but it's for lack of better words, forgettable. Um, towards the end, and just becomes very monotonous, which this album is. Um, that it I don't want to discredit how great this album is in music history, how great Sinatra is in music history, but I also wouldn't say that it's a 10 by any means, especially when looking at some of the music we've looked at.
Hmm.
But it's still really great because it led to that
Right.
and it was very impactful at the time. Personal rating, I I give it a 3. I really didn't like it.
Wow.
Listen, listen. We talked about it a little bit on Ed Sheeran, and I may have contradicted myself a little bit on Reliant K, but I'm not a love song person. I'm not a generic love song person. Um, that's why I like Candlelight by Reliant K, is because it's about being so bright that you're gonna attract moths. Like that's not normal for a love song. That's weird. And I like weird. I like weird. I like really unique depictions of stuff like that. But generic love songs, I I really can't stand them most of the time. They get on my nerves. And also, with it being monotonous, every song sounded the same. It kind of goes back. We talked about this a little bit with AC/DC. I don't think we haven't recorded that, but personally, um, a little bit of a spoiler. When every song sounds so similar, the way we do this podcast can kind of hurt itself. We listen to it for a week
Yeah.
and we don't draw it out. So it's like listening to this album is about 45 minutes. 45 minutes is essentially it feels like just one song, and then you're doing that multiple times a week. It becomes annoying, which is sad and discredits
Yeah.
a little bit of the personal rating, and that's why it's a personal rating and not objective.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just
especially
listening to 45 minutes of the same sound over and over again. And when you don't even really care for that sound,
right,
becomes
especially
a lot.
that's it. When it's outside of your comfort zone, the listening to it over and over again does get, man, it gets difficult. But
Yeah. So I apologize to all of those Sinatra heads out there, but this one was rough for me.
yeah, so
I think that means I rated it lower than the Sex Pistols.
you you did, but you are not alone because so did I. Um, so, but not by that much. So my personal rating was a five. Like it's not my music, but yet there was essentially a half of it that I appreciated, and what I'm calling a half. So it probably, if I'm going by that, maybe the rating should be a little bit higher, but not really. And then the last portion of it just really didn't do it for me. Objectively, though, I did go higher than you. I did go nine, um, and really just because of who Sinatra, of what his career looks like. And then again, I'm not a Sinatra aficionado. You see, I gave it a five, so I'm not out trying to listen to more Sinatra. So I'm going to take the critics and the aficionados' word for it that says this is his best album. And when they say it's his best album, I can look at his body of work and go, okay, it's gotta like it's gotta be pretty good. And like you said, I don't know how you could get from Sinatra to this to this to this to something today that I would say is in my alley. Um, based on people saying, "Oh, this influenced me and this influenced me," but I'm sure it's there. Um, and because you don't get to the point of who he was without a massive list of people coming after you that say, I was influenced by Sinatra in one way or the other. Because it may not be the swing or the jazz or the big band, obviously, because most of that's gone. Um, but yet you mentioned some things that he's done with his voices and things and emotion that I'm sure people would say, yeah, I really like the way that Sinatra was able to do that. So I'm sure it's there. I didn't dig to really find it, but so a 5 and 9 for me.
Fair enough.
So, what is your song of the week?
My song of the week is an oldie, not an oldie. It's an oldie for us.
Let's say, is it it's from 1950
No, it
something?
was no, this one was made when I was alive, but it's just a throwback for the two of us.
Okay.
Um,
Unfortunately,
it
that's not an oldie for me.
it's In Tenderness by Citizens.
Ah, okay.
Such a good song, such a fun little tune. They performed, we saw them live a while ago. They actually tried the song out on us. It was like they hadn't recorded it yet. They were just trying it out.
Yeah.
And it's such a good
And
song.
not us, like personally, but
Right. Yeah. No, we were in the audience, a small audience,
yeah.
but we were in it. And it's such a good song, and they've grown to make more incredible music, which has been really cool to see.
Yeah, what did
But
they play at? Was that like a youth encounter weekend at the church?
yeah, yeah, a church event they played at for us.
Yeah,
And then I saw them recently opening for Chris and Zema in Mill and Mine, and that was a really cool like turn of
yeah,
events just to kind of see how they've grown and go from like a very small church event to like 400 people in the crowd. It was like
yeah.
fun to see. But just a great tune, one of their older ones, one of their first ones. It's fun, it's very poppy, but in a great way, and great lyrics, in my
S-
opinion. So
so at the time when they wrote that, were they weren't they Citizens and
Citizens
Saints?
and Saints.
Okay.
Yeah, and now they're just citizens.
So if you happen to look look it up or look for it, it could be under Citizens and Saints, but you should still be able to
Yes.
find it under Citizens as well. So
Yeah. On
um,
Spotify, it's citizens. So,
yeah, okay, good. Just in case people look it up on some other one, or
yeah.
just on the interwebs, it may be a different name. So my song of the week is a shout out to Mama Barber, um, and it is "Caution" by the Killers.
Mm.
Because she told me that this better be my song of the week this week, so I'm listening. Um, but we went to Live at the Shell this past week, and it was a country blues festival, and North Mississippi All Stars plays that every year, and they are incredible. They put on a fantastic show. So a Memphis music family. Let's see, it's Luther Dickinson and Cody Dickinson are in North Mississippi All Stars. Their dad was Jim Dickinson, all of them musical master minds, and they're all from Memphis. Luther, I think, played guitar on maybe five Black Crowes albums,
Oh,
5 or
wow.
6. He's wonderful guitar player.
Yeah.
But so we went to that concert, and while we were sitting there, we were talking about different music, and we were talking about the Pixies, and she was trying to think of this song, Caution, and we finally got to it from the Killers, but Imploding the Mirage album from 2020, so a COVID album. So
Mm.
that'd be interesting to go and see them playing, like not not Jimmy Kimmel, who's Jimmy Fallon show, when it was all done with remote. So that's interesting. But the song's got this dreamy sequence that starts it for about 45 seconds or so, and then it just kicks into the power um, pop really song throughout, and it's really an upbeat song, throwing obviously caution to the wind and taking some sort of risk and doing something. And I really like the song, and it's got something that goes against the normal pop song template. We've talked about it in a couple other songs. Alive from Pearl Jam comes to mind, where it's got the main guitar solo at the end.
Mm.
And so the guitar solo is really good. And also 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. The guitar solo is performed, the studio version is done by Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac, which is another album we've listened to, but we have not recorded yet. Um, and those that go watch the video over at YouTube will get Riley's reaction, but we'll save that to make you go watch it. Just another way to see all these bands interacting. It's always neat to see that. So that's my song of the week. Caution by the Killers. So I think that brings us to our next album, right?
Yes, which is a very special one.
Special.
So,
So
the
what's the album?
the album is
I
Abbey
guess
Road.
before you tell everybody why it's special, we should probably tell people what the album is.
The album is Abbey Road by the Beatles. It's very special because we're going to be joined um, by someone that we'll introduce next episode, but he has been mentioned on the podcast before.
Hmm.
He's been mentioned in
Oh, we can introduce
connection.
him.
I don't,
Yeah, you know him by name, but Charles
you
Mooney.
got it,
So
dude.
he's a coworker now, but at one point in time in a previous life, old Charles was a music critic. So had a music magazine, and still to this day loves his music. Always, we're more hybrid now, but when he is at the office, always has his earphones on, listening to music.
Listening to
Makes
specifically Wham.
makes it
So
makes it very easy to sneak up on him. But he is also a huge Beatles fan, so it'll be interesting, especially when we get to the why should people listen to this list? Me and Riley can go like make a sandwich and have dinner and then come back, and he may still be going. But that's going to be good to get a good different perspective on things. So I'm looking forward to expanding our conversations to include other people. So, you know,
yeah, and maybe I can have a I would the he was mentioned in the podcast because you were saying he would love that I was making fun of you
yeah,
and trying to get a rise out of you because you do that to him.
yeah,
He should have thought twice before he texted you saying that he really tried to listen to my album. He really tried. He had an
yeah,
ally. He had an
yeah,
ally against it. He should think twice now.
yeah.
I'll pick his
So
mind.
looking forward to that, and we're
Very
also
much so,
thinking
yeah.
about some other people that we can bring in. Sometimes people that are just like us that don't really know what they're talking about, but yet we just love music, and then others more like Charles that do have a music background that can maybe get into some of the nuts and bolts and weeds about some of these things. And some of the things that maybe is as you just listen to music that you miss or never knew. So I'm looking forward to that and some other ones that we've got coming up. So if that fits you and you'd like to join us for your favorite album or something, by all means, email us. Reach out to us. If you like the segue, reach out to us on socials and let us know. So we are at X, Facebook, and Instagram, Barber Cuts Pod, and also over at YouTube, our channel there. So we got two episodes up. Well, three once this one comes out. And then as I go back and fine tune some of the older recordings, I'll get some more up there along the way as well. So from some of our past episodes. So, reach out to any of those and let us know what you think. In the meantime, we will get out of here so that lemur on top of Raleigh's head doesn't attack her because like we need her to stick around. So, until next time, yeah, see another way to make them go watch the video. Until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Riley, and this has been another episode of Barber Cut.